Good morning, everybody. Today is going to be a different topic. And before anybody starts talking shit, let me make it clear. The reason I tell you things about the past, not only is it for healing and stuff, is because I can actually talk about it now and I can actually deal with it. It doesn't affect me like it did back then in my past, okay? So I'm able to talk about it. It's important for me to express certain things, and God's telling me to go ahead and tell you guys, okay? Because I didn't really want to talk about it. So we will go back to my childhood. Now, I really believe that my biological mother, is probably my aunt who died of, I think, ovarian cancer. I'm not too sure. But I never knew who she was, but her name was spoken a lot in our house because my mother loved her a lot and would talk highly about her, the sister. Okay? The sister was supposed to be a really good sister. I don't know if she ever married or she got married out of wedlock. I know she had 2 children. I think I might have been one, and there was one older than me. But the one older than me had a little mentally a little bit challenged, not by a lot, but a little bit. There was something wrong mentally there. So she was raised by another aunt. And for some reason, I was given to my mother, I think. I'm not too sure. I could be wrong about this whole story, but I'm playing back from my memories of my past. I'm trying to think how this happened. But the reason why the resemblance, that I still think that I look like some of my siblings, some of them, not all of them, my sisters, is because of the bloodline of my mom's side and her sister. My mom always said I had sad eyes. It reminded her of her sister, which was Dora, which was my aunt, which is my mother, which I thought was my aunt. I never met her. I don't remember. I don't have any memories of her, so I think I might have been a baby, maybe. I'm not too sure. All I know is I have a memory of like when I was 5 years old, and that's about it. And I had long, long hair down to like almost to my buttocks, but like to the bottom of my waist. And I remember I was crushed because my mother cut my hair all the way to like a little boy. Why she did that, I don't know. I went from one extreme to another, and I was traumatized by then. By then, that's when the abuse started, I think. She just had cut my hair like a little boy, straight up, and the bangs were crooked. I have a picture of myself when I was 6 years old. So I know she cut my hair as soon as I came to live with her, or I don't know what happened. I know I was traumatized by that thing, and I do remember having long, long hair. I remember that my father didn't show a lot of affection towards me. He showed a lot of affection to his other daughters, but I didn't feel like I got a lot of attention from him. And maybe he is my biological father. I don't know. I love him like he is, so it doesn't matter. He's the one on the Puerto Rican side. My mother is Hispanic. Grandma's from Aguascalientes, Mexico. And my father's from Ponce, Puerto Rico. I never got to know the Puerto Rican side that much because of my mother being in Texas and stuff like that. It was more the Mexican side. I don't know. My mom didn't care for the other side because she was kind of a little racist on saying that my grandma was black. I guess my grandma was dark complected, very dark complected. I never got to meet my grandmother. So my mother was like, yeah, she wanted us to be Puerto Rican, and she was proud of her daughters being half Puerto Rican, but yet she wasn't proud of the bloodline. So she would shun that life. So I never really got to meet them till I was in my 30s. For the first time I met them, I flew out to Orlando, Florida, and I got to meet some of them. And it was the most magnificent time I ever had. It was sad because it took till I was 30 years old to meet these people that I didn't know anything about. I still don't. I only met them one time. All of them came to see me. Every relative that could make it on the Puerto Rican side came to see me. And I look back to that, it means a lot to me because they picked up their children and everything, and they came and they had this big meal for me. And they didn't even grow up eating that much Puerto Rican food. So these people went out of their way for me. They showed a lot of love for me that day and while I was there for like a week visiting. It was like the best experience I ever had. I'll always remember that, and I'll always love them for that, no matter what. They can't come out of my heart, no matter what, that side of the family. I'll never forget that. So anyways, no more crying. I told myself I wasn't going to be a fucking crybaby on these videos anymore. So then, what else happened? Okay, so my father was an alcoholic, come home, pissed off because my mom would give him so much shit about working, and then he had another daughter on the side. This stepdaughter hated me. Okay, everybody hated me. The day that I was born, or when I came to live in the house, whatever the circumstances were, my brother is the one who tried to unalive me. I came into the house with an older sister and an older brother. which I think they always had like an envy towards me. If I wasn't their biological sibling, they knew it. What's so weird is that everybody kept the secret, except for my brother one day opened his big mouth and said, "Hey, don't you know you don't belong here? Don't you know you don't fit in here? You're not like us. You don't belong here, blah, blah, blah." Until then, but I just thought he was being an asshole, you know? I just thought he's always been, he never liked me. I didn't take it personal. I was just so used to it. I was used to the abuse. I was used to being treated like shit. I was used to being the black sheep. I was the one always getting blamed on, the one who got spanked all the fucking time, the one that was grounded in trouble, the one that was on everybody's mouth every fucking day. Lorraine did this. Lorraine did that. Lorraine did this. Lolo did this. Lolo did that. You know, blah, 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 blah. You know, Lori did this. Lori did that. You know, and my aunts were always calling and want to know how I was doing. At the time, I didn't understand why. But it makes sense now to me. If I wasn't there, my mother's child, the karmic, if my mother really passed away when I was a kid, it makes sense why my aunts were so into my life and why I was always on the topic of the conversation. But in my aunts' eyes, I could do no wrong. Honestly, I could do no wrong. They loved me. Like every time they greeted me, they just like loved me so much. Maybe because I resembled my mother, their sister. My mother had envious about that. My mother used to say that my mother was a good mother, but yet she wasn't. My mother was psychologically and mentally abusive, while my father was the physical abuser. You know, like my brother tried to unalive me at 10 years old. He had somebody choke me to death, and my mother brought me back to life. CPR or what's it called? Breathing in my mouth. Yeah, CPR or whatever. Resuscitating. So then we were poor. There was 9 of us. I had a sister that died of the West Nile. She died of the West Nile. Somebody's calling me. She died of the West Nile. It was a mosquito bite that 3 people in our block got bit that year, but she didn't survive. That's when my family fell apart. My father and my mother started fighting, blaming each other. They blamed us. I was babysitting that summer. I was 17 years old, so I was blamed for that. I carried that guilt of her death with me forever. She was 6 years old. Imagine burying an angel, because that's basically what it was. Just major verbal and mental abuse growing up. Major. Besides the physical, I could handle being my ass whipped. Man, it was like, do it again. I don't care. Hit me harder. It doesn't hurt. That was my attitude to my dad. Hit me harder. I don't give a shit. That doesn't hurt me. So what hurt me more was mental and physical, verbal abuse. My mother was like that. It got to a point where I was tired too. My mother was like a healer, but some ways it was a little twisted. Here I'm about to expose this, and my fucking siblings are going to be pissed because I'm going to tell you this. But my mom believed in cleaning out your colon, your stomach, right? We'd have to have this like once a month, at least from the age that I can remember, from 5 years old up until I was about 12. I finally put my foot down and told her no. We were having enemas done to us all the fucking time. And my brother, a little fucking pervert, incest asshole, would be the one to hold the bag up. You know, those old school bags that you hold up? He would hold the bag up while my mom would insert the tube into our butthole, or whatever you want to call it, our anal area. And he would get to watch this shit. And it's like a wonder that he grew up to be so fucking weird. But my mother had him doing this shit. And so until I was 12 years old, I was almost going to start to develop. And I was very insecure. And I told her, no, I'm not going to allow you to do that no more. I don't care if I'm constipated. Her excuse was that we were constipated, that we couldn't go to the bathroom enough and all this bullshit, right? And I said no. And I finally said no to her. And yes, we didn't get sick. Yes, we were healed a lot because of the cleaning out your stomach and stuff that you eat and stuff like that. But at the same time, it was weird and twisted in my eyes. You know, to me, you look back to it and it's like, it's not normal. I asked some people about this kind of situation. They're like, that's not right, or that's kind of weird. And I didn't think about it. And then I wonder why my brother turned out to be such a fucking pervert. Weird fucking incest and fucking trying to molest my son. So me and my siblings, we don't talk. We never have. They don't know how to communicate. They're very cold-hearted. They don't know how to open up their heart. I myself have always pushed through it and made them talk to me, made them bring up questions and conversations that they hate to talk about, that they will avoid, but I don't. I've never been that way. I'm always going to talk about something's bothering me. I'm going to settle it until I feel that the person's being honest with me. I always seek the truth. Anyways. And so in that case, as I grew up and stuff like that, in such a mental situation and verbal and physical, I never fit in. I didn't fit in with this family. My mind and my thoughts were differently. My brother was stealing constantly from the Salvation Army, go around collecting money, saying that he was doing something for some funding and shit, and he got caught doing that. My brother was constantly doing illegal activities when it came to money, laundering, stealing from companies, working for them, and had an accounting degree, but used it in a fucking evil way. Stealing from companies, people that trusted him. Even his own cousin he worked for, and he stole money, as an accountant, still in his business. And brother's just trifling, man. The whole point I'm trying to tell you is that this whole family is so fucked up. And then they brought my children involved into this shit because of the fact that my sisters would always talk bad about me, and my daughters believed it because of this ex-karmic husband that I have, that I've been married to for 25 years, or he's not an ex yet. But everybody against me was always manipulating people, talking bad about me. I'm so used to people saying negative stuff that when people say something good about me, it's like it catches me off guard. I don't know how to accept it. I don't know what to do. It's not normal in my eyes. Going to school with welt marks, like being beat down so bad by a belt or the metal part of a belt, the buckle part. Going to school with welts on your legs and not having a hard time sitting down in a chair. My family was smart enough not to bruise our faces, because if you bruise your face, it's going to bring attention to the schools. So growing up, seeing all this stuff, I thought it was normal. And then when I got to be a teenager, the friends that I hung out with, we started talking about our childhood. And when I started telling my stories, they were like shocked. They're like, "What did you just say? That they're like, Lorraine, that's not normal. That's not fucking, that's crazy. Blah, 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 blah." And then I started figuring it out, wondering why I had such anger build up inside. Why I would retaliate and feel like I constantly had to defend myself because of the fact that nobody ever defended me. And so therefore, that is where this feistiness, this fighter comes out, this warrior, because one day my mother told me this, and she instilled this like 10 times in my head. You need to defend yourself in this life because there's nobody that's going to defend you. Do you understand me? If you don't learn how to defend yourself, there's nobody in the world that's going to defend you but you yourself. But she left out God. She left out the most important thing. She left out God. She left out Jesus. She said nobody would help me. Nobody was going to be in the world to defend me. She warned me ahead of time. She already knew what was installed for me in the future. She told me that my siblings didn't love me like the way siblings should love each other. That they were totally talking bad about me. They were totally against me. They were constantly bad-mouthing me to her. And she would defend me. And she would tell me, be careful, because your sisters, your brother, they don't love you the way that they should. So, therefore, in this world, you're going to learn the hard way that you're going to have to learn how to defend yourself. Because nobody in this world will defend you but you. You stand up, and she told me, and don't you ever be afraid. She said, don't be scared. Don't show weakness. Be strong. Stand up and fight. Don't ever let anybody knock you down. She said, defend your fucking self in this world because you're going to have to. Those were the words that she instilled in my life all the time. She's like, you're so stupid. You're too nice to people. You need to stop being so nice, so naive, so gullible. She used to tell me, you need to be a fighter. You need to stand up. Well, finally, after almost 50 years, I finally got it. I finally got what she was trying to tell me. And in parts of the truth, she was right. In this world, who's going to defend you if you don't defend yourself? Regardless if you got money, if you don't have money, if you have friends, you have no friends, no family, no nothing. But you have your mouth, you have your voice, you have your legs, your body to move, and you have God. Of all things, you have God. If you're doing right in this world and you have the Lord, you got nothing to fear. And that's what I learned over the years of how I was going to learn how to defend myself, how I was going to come up from this disaster that I was in. And what gave me hope in the world, what made me stronger, because I was like naive. I was more soft. I would get frightened over the situations, and I didn't like to mess around with the law because the law can take shit away from me so fast. Always a fear against the law, but always trying to do the right thing. Even though I was a drug addict at one time, I knew it was wrong, and I knew that one day, I would get caught or some bullshit, So I knew it was time to quit. And if I wanted to serve God, I had to walk the walk. Now, it ain't easy being a person that was addicted all her life on drugs to just come up clean, but I did it. And because I was locked up twice, 20 days here and there, I was able to sober up. And God put me in that place for a reason. I went to jail 20 days here and there. Why? So that I could sober up. And it kept me sober. And even though it took me to be almost 50 years, 50 years old to understand this shit, at least I understood it. At least I'm trying. At least I'm changing. At least I see shit the way it's supposed to be, not the way that the image of the world, the illusions of these people and the illusions of the law and the illusions of the corruption wants me to think. I believe in God, and God shows me everything. I may not understand it at the time, and I may even argue with him about it, and I might be defiant about it. But eventually I work my way back to him, because I know that is the truth, and that's the only truth, and nothing but the truth. So help me God. So I leave that with you guys, and hopefully this is a motivational speech for anybody out there that's not feeling it today and doesn't want to get out of bed, that doesn't want to face reality and face people out there that are trying to hurt them. Face it, man. Get up. The more you get up and the more you face it, the more it pisses them off. And the more you get better at what you're doing. And if you believe in God and in Jesus, you have nothing to fear. You have nothing to worry about. And I leave that with that today. So I say peace be with you. God loves you. And God have mercy on all of us. And have a wonderful day. God bless you. Shalom.